Welcome in Moksa Workflow Manager training movies. This is exercise number 10, in which we are going to talk about the fine-tuning of a commission task. The fine-tuning is done by setting parameters such as these, and you can set these parameters globally in the client preferences or in sites in the workflow manager.xml. Then it applies to all tasks in sites, or in the workflow itself, being the category workflow parameters field, or in the record or the task, also in the workflow parameters field. Every level overrules the previous level. So the lowest level is task, so whatever you specify on task is the final functionality, and then we go to category, then we go to sites, and then we go to global. At every level you only need to specify the changes in regards to the previous upper level. The first parameter is actually the most often used parameter, is the ability to add a query to the task. This query is performed before the user can start working in it. As soon as the user opens the task, then it searches for the records based on this query, and these records are added to the workflow. There's a little difference with this same functionality in the approval task. In the approval task, the resulting records are added to the input records as provided records and need to be processed. While here in this workflow task, the commission task, you get these records as uploaded records, which means that one, you can still remove them, and two, you don't have to do any extra steps on them. Just verify that the records that come in are the valid records. If you just close your task and open it again, it will perform the search again and add any new records that are in the result of that query. As I said, this is not a very often used feature, but it is available. By default, you are allowed to search to upload in the commission task. So by default, you have this parameter specified like this. If you don't want to upload in the commission task, you just empty this field or put the word false in it. A little bit less common is the fact that you allow users to search. Maybe they can add files to this workflow task by searching in sites. That allows them not to create new records in the catalog upload, but allows you to just perform a simple search in sites. If you want that, you specify here a text label which will appear as the button for that functionality. Another possibility in a commission task is that you are allowing the user to add an empty record. Maybe it's a record where you just want the user to be able to add metadata as maybe a briefing record for a file that is maybe still to come. It's a file that might be uploaded in the next task. Similar to in the approval task, the metadata template allows you to edit records, one single record, or bulk edit of all records in the commission task. So if you specify here a metadata template name and semicolon the label you want, label being whatever is displayed as the button for this functionality, then you allow the user to edit metadata fields. You specify in the metadata template, for instance, the notes field, the caption field, a status field, so you can specify string list fields or string fields for which a value can be set inside the task. Enough said, we're going to put this in a test workflow. So as an example, we can start out by copying the previous workflow. In the previous workflow, we worked with different functionalities and fine-tuned an approval task. Well, we are just going to copy that same workflow. So I'm going to start with duplicating the workflow category, and that only duplicates the category functionalities, the overall parameters of the workflow. And then we can also select this workflow. As you can see, at this point it is empty, and I will load the tasks from workflow number 9, and I will say OK, load. At this point I notice that I did not specify the name correctly, so I can just close this and simply change the name. Commission task, that is what I want to demonstrate here. Okay, and then let's have a look. We want to open the workflow graph. So as mentioned in previous exercises, if you are fine-tuning a task, you don't have to go into this designer to change the parameters of the visual behavior of a task. In these parameters you are only setting the functional behavior of a task and what this task will perform, and what parameters it will use. No, if you want to change the interface itself, in what buttons appear, etc., then you are going here to the record of the task or to the category of the workflow if it's values that apply to the whole workflow. And here in this example I'm going to add some steps. We already defined some of the stuff earlier on. I can remove this to avoid too many parameters here. Keep it simple. I can simply go to my Word file, or even more proper to get your parameters from would be the preferences, where you just can copy paste them in, but I'm just going to take in this example the Word file, and I'm only going to use for instance these settings. So I'm copying these settings, going back to the task, paste, and now I can see I want to maybe, as an example, not allow the user to upload, but I do want the user to be able to search. So I'm saying search in commission task, and I give it a label, and then I can allow the user to add an empty record. We could call it new record. And then a metadata template. We already created a metadata template called commission task. And as I said, semicolon, and then the label I want to add. And then here, for the last field, we're doing exactly the same thing, commission task. And you can see you could differentiate. You could say for an individual record, I allow a different set of fields than for the bulk edit. But in this example, I'm using the same field. So these are the parameters that I wanted to set. I'm saving this, closing this. I go to the information window of the task, and I'm going to add another functionality here. These are parameters that we created previously, and I'm now going to specify on this task that it is mandatory at start. So I'm putting here mandatory at start. Remember, in Cumulus 8.6 you get this error message. You don't click on the save button, you click on the category name just below, then you click OK, and then you click on save, and you will see that everything is properly saved. So now it says mandatory at start. Let's go and have a look in sites. Let's refresh and enter a valid user. A user that has the permission to use the workflow portal. As you can see, the names of the categories are sorted alphabetically. That is why this number 10 appears here at the top. I select the category I want to run, the workflow I want to run, and I can specify the input records. As in this example, I'm going to use the multi-file drag and drop functionality. I select 4 files and they are being uploaded. You have a process bar at the bottom. If you want to drop more, just drop more, or you click here done, and you can see the list of of records that you uploaded. If you decide that some of the images are not valid, you can still remove them just by clicking there. Then I go to the participants. If for a participant you forgot to select for a role, you forgot to select the participant and click on save, the workflow will give you a reminder. And so I know that I still have to set this workflow information. Now you see that the project name is mandatory, and so I can set test for training plant Belgium, and I can set additional instructions. So please create flyer for training. Workflow manager. I could upload, for instance, a style guide. And now I can click on save. I can still see all the information that I added, so I can have a quick look. I'm submitting, and there the workflow is started. In a few moments, the workflow will now give me access, give me an email notification of this task, but I can also have a look in the workflow, where in the workflow I can see if the task has come in, and I can see that it has not been started, so the backend engine is still processing this. If I would have looked at this part, I now can see that it is in progress, but if I had checked here a few moments ago, it would not have appeared yet because it was not yet started. If I open the task mail, it will tell me that I don't have a task mail because there is no mail sent to Peter, because he's not the person to perform the task. To know to whom this was sent, you open the current task, and that tells me that for this current task this person should have received an email. And you can see if I open the email that this is the email that is sent to that person, and I can check in the mail if that is true. Here I can see that indeed this person received that particular mail. So I can either click here in the mail to go to the task, or I can do the same thing in my workflow reporter. And when I click here, I can see my task, see the additional instructions, see the workflow information. Remember that I removed the permissions to edit these parts, so we did not enable editing, but we did enable editing of the records, and we did enable the editing of the individual record. We enabled the ability to make a new record and to do a search. The user has to at least provide one new file. But before adding any new files to the workflow, let's first have a look at the functionality of edit. Here you see that you can edit the workflow fields, the record, the task fields actually. So I can here add notes, test from task, and I can set the status. Okay, for instance, it picks up the values of the status in the status field. And when I click save, I will see in a few seconds here, the screen is updated. I can see test from task, and I can go back in and change that. Now it added that to all tasks because I did edit record. If I do an edit individual record here, I see the value, and I could just remove it again and set maybe this one to not okay. Then automatically after a few seconds it updates the screen, and this is edited. As an example, I'm going to do search insights. Search insights gives you a little explanation of what is going to happen. It is going to log out this task. It's going to ask you to log out as a user into the task, because it wants to check your credentials to know exactly to which task to which catalogs you have access. I then can put the files that I want to use in the collection basket, standard search capabilities, of course, of sites. And once it's in the collection basket, you will see that you have a special button here, Save to Task. And as soon as you click here, Save to Task, it will bring you back into your task and show you this one as a new uploaded file. If you made a mistake, you can still remove it and delete uploaded file, but you get this way the ability to add records via a search. I can now submit my task, and the backend will check if I performed all the steps correctly and close the task. So this was an example of how to personalize the commission task. Thank you for joining, and see you in the next movie.